Today we're looking at lesson 354. And, like so many of these later lessons, it really just goes straight to the core, right to the heart of what we are, our identity. And not what we should be, but what, according to the course, we already are.
That's it, exactly. We're diving into this simple, unchangeable truth that our identity is already a finished thing. It's complete. It's established outside of, time and all the judgment we pile on.
And the implications of that for our daily lives are, well, they're huge.
They are, especially for those little ordinary moments that we so often use to just tear ourselves down.
Yeah.
And if this lesson sparks any thoughts for you or you have reflections, we'd love to hear them. You can always email us. It's ACIM@theworldharmonyproject.org.
Or you can find us on TikTok. We're at the World Harmony Project.
Okay, so let's just begin by reading the lesson. Lesson 354. We stand together, Christ and I, in peace and certainty of purpose, and in him is his creator as he is in me.
My oneness with the Christ establishes me as your son, beyond the reach of time, and wholly free of every law but yours. I have no self except the Christ in me. I have no purpose but his own, and he is like his Father. Thus must I be one with you as well as him. For who is Christ except your Son as you created him? And what am I except the Christ in me? The second part is just, it's so direct, especially that line, I have no self except the Christ in me. Feels like a final word on the subject. There's no room for argument there, is there?
No, none at all. And I think that's really where this exploration has to start. It's being presented as an established fact. It's not a suggestion like, hey, you should try to have this identity. It's not saying you'll achieve it someday if you work hard enough. It's just stating the present condition. This is what you are now.
The power in that directness, like you're saying,
is
that it just pulls the rug out from under the whole system we usually run on.
Yes.
I mean, if my identity is already set, perfect, certain, then this whole lifelong project I've been running of self-improvement, self-defense, proving myself, it collapses.
It becomes meaningless.
Yeah.
But we can still see the habit, can't we? We're so conditioned to think that our identity is, fragile. Like it has to be created or proven moment by moment.
It is so exhausting to live with that assumption that your worth is always up for review. But it's a deep habit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, we don't even realize we've turned that internal evaluation software on. It just runs in the background.
It does. And we should probably look at that software, It's not just running during the big moments, the big decisions.
No, it's the tiny stuff.
It's the tiny, ordinary moments where the mind just leaps to judgment. I was so aware of this exact thing this morning. My alarm goes off and I hesitate for a second. And the thought that immediately comes up when I think about hitting snooze is, if I hit snooze, I'm a lazy person. And suddenly I'm subject to the ego's laws about productivity and I've failed the test before my feet even hit the floor.
And that's the relentless part, isn't it? It doesn't just judge the big things. It applies the same stressful system to the smallest possible details of our day.
It all gets funneled through that fearful question. Is this okay? Does this prove I'm worthy?
Or does it prove I'm unworthy?
Or does it prove I'm unworthy? Yeah. And we keep this mental file, a running commentary. So the snooze button thing, it doesn't just stay in that moment.
No.
It becomes another piece of evidence. Exhibit A in the larger false story about me, the story that I'm undisciplined or lazy.
The mind is always on the hunt for more evidence to keep that separate, fragile self looking real. Because if it stops collecting evidence, that self just kind of dissolves.
Oh, absolutely. And it will find that evidence anywhere. Later in the day, I had a total brain slip. I completely forgot what day it was. And I asked a colleague for a Zoom link for a meeting that, it didn't exist. And the instant I realized my mistake, my first thought was, what does that say about my competence?
There it is. That's the pattern. The mind doesn't see a simple human error. It sees a flaw. It escalates a scheduling mistake into like a sign of your declining ability or a deep character failing.
We don't pause to think, I'm a human, I make mistakes. We race right to the finish line. This mistake proves I am fundamentally flawed.
And you just add that little error to the ever-growing picture of this false self you're painting moment by moment, always making sure you're tied to this idea of an evaluated self. And the mind is so clever. It can even take external things that have literally nothing to do with us and somehow turn them into proof of our personal flaws.
Oh, 100%. So I found out my workplace is bringing in a new surveillance app for remote work. And my very first thought, it was pure self-judgment. It was, they must think I'm not working hard enough.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a global corporate policy, right?
Oh.
It applies to thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
But your mind instantly personalized it. It made it about you, and a failure you already suspected was true.
Exactly. It became this confirmation of fear. If I were really good at my job, they wouldn't need to check up on me. The self-assessed life turns external events into evidence for or against this self that's built on, shifting sand.
So by the end of the day, we're just carrying this heavy bag of ordinary moments,
Yeah.
and every single one of them is pointing back to that same question. What does this say about me?
Yes. And that question, the choice to even engage with that question instead of just resting in what the lesson says is already true, is the source of all the stress.
That's what keeps the whole illusion going.
Yeah, right. And the Course is very clear about how this illusion is maintained. It says we do it by linking moments together to support a false story. And that whole process relies on one thing: time.
The illusion of time.
Time is the ego's favorite tool. It's like a chain. The ego insists that this self is a continuous story. The past, present, and future are all linked in this chain of condemnation.
So the past is used to condemn us, and the future is used to worry us. Time becomes the glue that holds the whole story of the separate, flawed self together.
But this lesson just takes a pair of scissors and cuts that chain completely. It says, our identity as the Son is established beyond the reach of time.
If you're beyond time, then the mistake you made 5 minutes ago, or the so-called laziness from this morning, it can't add up to anything. It can't contribute to a self that is already whole and complete now.
Right. The whole job of putting yourself together, incident by incident, this is where we have to look at what the Course calls the ego's laws. The whole stressful process, the anxiety over the snooze button, the worry about the Zoom mistake, the fear from the surveillance app, all of it only works if we agree to play by those rules.
And those laws are just these self-imposed metrics, right? Metrics for our worth based on performance, productivity, how competent we seem, how we look.
Exactly. We're giving these little systems complete authority over our peace.
The lesson says, I am wholly free of every law but yours, meaning God's. So if we're only subject to the law of our Creator, the law of love, of perfect unity, then all those petty, stressful, performance-based laws of the world,
their jurisdiction is gone. Now, that doesn't mean we stop obeying traffic laws or following professional procedures.
of course, that's about navigating the world practically.
Right. The key shift is that we stop using these worldly rules as a scale to measure our spiritual worth.
Because if our real identity is the Christ, at one with God, then there's genuinely nothing there to judge. How can a temporary slip-up or a moment of perceived laziness even touch something that is already established as perfect and eternal? The judgment system has no target. It's like trying to grab smoke.
It has no target. And the ego is designed to create those laws and then thrive on the guilt we feel when we inevitably break them. This lesson is asking us to look past that entire system of judgment, to see that the thing being judged, that separate, fragile self, is fictional. It's a character we're playing, and it only seems real as long as we give it our belief.
So this idea of being established beyond the reach of time it's critical. If we can really grasp that our identity isn't a product of a sequence of events, that it's not an accumulation of our successes and failures,
then the frantic urgency to do something or prove something in this moment just evaporates.
Right.
Time is the stage for the ego's drama of inadequacy. It needs yesterday's failure to justify today's anxiety about tomorrow, but when we remember, we're outside of time. Every moment is fresh. It's unburdened by the false history we've been dragging around.
Which means we don't have to carry the weight of the past. That whole historical file the ego has been building on us, it's all instantly irrelevant to who we truly are.
And that distinction between God's law and the ego's laws is everything here. God's law is a law of being. It's the law of creation, which says what was created perfect is perfect. The ego's laws are all laws of doing. They're about measurement, competition, scarcity.
And we spend so much of our lives under those laws of scarcity, haven't we? The belief that there's not enough time, not enough competence, not enough worthiness to go around.
That belief in inherent lack is the central lie the ego needs us to buy into.
So when the lesson says we're wholly free of every law but yours, it's asking us to withdraw our belief from that whole world built on fear and measurement.
And return our allegiance to the law of creation, which only knows wholeness and unity. That choice. That's what the Course is pointing to. It's the decision to just rest in the fact of who we are instead of frantically trying to build a better resume for the ego.
Okay, but a question might come up for someone listening. It's a practical one. If I stop judging myself based on competence or productivity, won't I just, stop doing things? Won't I actually become lazy?
That is such a common and important question. I think we confuse the ego's motivation, which is frantic and based in fear.
The need to prove worth.
Yes, the need to prove worth. We confuse that with true motivation. But true motivation, when it comes from our established self, is rooted in peace and certainty of purpose. It's a calm energy, not a frantic one.
So if I realize I'm not being judged by whether I hit the snooze button, the choice to get up just becomes a simple, practical decision, not a moral crisis.
The action can still happen, but it comes from a place of clarity, not from a desperate need to avoid the label lazy. We still engage with the world. The dishes still need washing. The alarm still rings.
The meetings still happen.
They do, but the internal experience is radically different.
We might still hit snooze, but that follow-up thought, I am a lazy person, doesn't have to be there.
It doesn't have to follow. We might forget the meeting day, but the immediate panic of, what does this say about me, is stopped before it can even take root. The practical thing happens, but the self-condemnation is let go. That's the freedom.
Right.
The stress only shows up when we decide that an external moment is a vote on our spiritual standing. But when we know our standing is already established, beyond time, beyond measurement, then a moment is just a moment. It's a circumstance to be dealt with, not a personal failure to be agonized over.
And we always have that power of choice. Life is still going to life. We're going to have off days. We're going to make mistakes. But a moment only becomes stressful when we decide it is.
And that is what it means to stand together with Christ. We're not constantly defending this fragile little self. We're joining with the identity that's already at peace.
It's about taking back the authority we mistakenly gave to all those little ego laws. We used to believe that the world's rules about time, performance, success had the final say on who we were.
This lesson reminds us those laws have no real authority over our reality at all. The separate self is always afraid because it's always in danger of being found out. It's always trying to perform, to measure up, to hide its flaws. It can't ever know peace because peace is a quality of an established identity, not an earned performance.
And when that belief in the separate evaluated self is relinquished, we're truly free. The only thing that has any real jurisdiction over our identity is the source that created it in perfection.
And that certainty is based on the unarguable fact of our creation.
The relief in that is immense. You can just be. You are already whole. You are already certain. Your purpose is already fixed. And recognizing that is what liberates us from the tyranny of judging ourselves moment by moment.
We don't have to wait until the project is done or the approval is given or the house is clean to accept our identity. It is established right now. It's permanent and it's constant, no matter what the world seems to be doing.
And that's why the lesson begins the way it does. We stand together, Christ and I, in peace and certainty of purpose. We don't have to do this alone. We don't have to constantly be adjusting our mask and fixing our failing self-image. We just stand with the truth of what we are. So today we look at how this lesson sees identity as something already established in peace and certainty. We explored how direct that truth is and how it really goes against our mind's constant project of building a self, moment by moment.
We looked at how we take these really normal, everyday moments, the alarm clock, a scheduling mistake, and turn them into these exhausting internal trials, and how that whole stressful process relies on one belief, that there's a separate self that needs to be judged over time.
And we talked about the huge shift that happens when that belief is let go. When we recognize we're wholly free of every law but God's, we find this incredible freedom from all that self-imposed stress and shame.
The core change really is internal. Your day might look exactly the same on the outside. The alarm still rings, the meetings still happen, the world just keeps on whirling.
Right.
But we get to experience it without that heavy burden of shame or defensiveness because we know that nothing that happens says anything at all about who we truly are.
Thank you for practicing with us today.
And if you'd like to share any of your own thoughts on this exploration, please feel free to email us. We're at ACIM@theworldharmonyproject.org.
You can also find us and all our content over on TikTok at the World Harmony Project.
Until we meet again, we'll leave you with this thought to carry with you, straight from the wisdom of today's lesson.
Today I remember I have no self except the Christ in me. My identity is already established beyond the reach of time.